Sarah Pochin went on LBC a couple of days ago and destroyed any credibility she might think she had, which wasn't much to begin with, if we're honest. Because not only did she refuse to disavow the endorsement from Tommy Robinson, literally one of Britain's most prominent racists, but she also got completely exposed for lying about her previous comments attacking black and Asian people in TV adverts being taken out of context, when they very clearly weren't. And then, just for good measure, she accidentally admitted that Reform government would literally take money away from bereaved parents whose partner might have died. And as usual for Sarah Pochin's appearances, this is another of her car crash interviews. Okay, so let's start with Sarah's desperate attempt to claim her racist comments were taken out of context, because this is important and we need to be crystal clear about what she actually said originally and what the context she's now trying to hide behind. When Gordon tried confronting her about using a platform to say that she didn't want to see black or Asian people on TV, her immediate response was this.
And you have used your platform to go on TV and say that you don't want to see black or Asian people on television.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That is the consequence of Reform getting a seat in Parliament.
That was a clip that was taken out of context.
People in Gorton and Denton,
there is not a racist bone in my body, and that's a low blow.
So I've got the actual clip, and we can see the full context.
I think Stuart's absolutely right. Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah? What's wrong with that?
Well, it doesn't reflect our society, and I feel that your average white person, average white family is, like, I agree with you, Stuart, not represented anymore in TV.
There are lots of white people on television.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm struggling to find the bit where adding more context makes it drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people sound less racist, because that's a pretty clear statement of what drives her mad, isn't it? She goes on to complain about how many times you look at a TV advert and think,
Sarah, or they're not. There are lots of white people, there are lots of white men, there are lots of white women.
We're talking about adverts, and how many times do you look at a TV advert and you think there's not a single white person on it? And actually it is. It's something that's happened because, I believe, of the woke liberati that goes on inside, this sort of, like, in the arty-farty world.
I mean, the only thing that's probably missing from this rant is her shouting, "They're all taking over." But Sarah's got a defence already, hasn't she?
Can you just clear up this thing about what you said? You said it was taken out of context. How was it? I mean, effectively, you said that you thought there were too many people, non-white people, in adverts on television.
What I was doing was actually what I should have said was quote the evidence base, which I've got so much better at after that mistake that I made by not quoting an evidence base. And it was a Channel 4 survey that had come out only 2 weeks before the interview.
So apparently the problem wasn't that she said something racist, it was the problem that she forgot to cite the survey while she was being racist, which is definitely how it works. She then tries to intellectualize it by claiming the survey showed...
What I should have said was that evidence showed that there were, I think it's over 50% of actors in adverts show or portray sort of mixed ethnicity families and that type of thing, and yet only 4% of the population, and so therefore that British people, or I'd say, at the end of the day, were not feeling that adverts were representing necessarily the actual makeup, and I was just making that point.
Okay, right, so let me get this straight. Your defence is, I wasn't being racist, I was just doing an analysis of racial representation in advertising and expressing my frustration at seeing too many black and Asian people based on survey data, which somehow makes this sound better.
I think Stuart's absolutely right. Drives me mad when I see adverts full of black people, full of Asian people, full of, people that basically are anything.
What's wrong with that, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. But as always with Sarah Pochin, it's never just one mess up. It's a whole litany of it. So next up is Tommy Robinson and her pathetic refusal to disavow an endorsement by him. I mean, I need you to understand how many opportunities she was given here to just do the bare minimum.
The Reform candidate in this by-election has been endorsed by Tommy Robinson, who is one of the most prominent racists, frankly, in this country. And I do not understand why Reform haven't disavowed that endorsement I do not understand.
People are entitled to endorse who they want to endorse.
Sarah, you might not want to hear it, but it's really important. So
Sarah,
you're not going to disavow the endorsement by Tommy Robinson?
People can endorse who they want to
He's
endorse.
literally a white supremacist.
We cannot
He is
stop anybody
literally
endorsing
the leading
us.
racist in this country.
We
You're okay with
cannot
that?
stop anybody
You're
endorsing
okay with that?
us.
But you can say right here on this show that you don't want his endorsement. Are you going to say that?
Look,
You're not going to say that.
The
Isn't that shameful?
point is, no, it's not shameful. You're shameful in accusing me of being a racist when you know there's not a racist bone in my body. But
I know
the
what
fact
you
is,
said on television,
that
and I
was
know that
taken
your
out
candidate
of
is endorsed
context.
by Tommy Robinson.
Look, we do
Sarah,
not choose who endorses us.
Sarah,
you can
Nigel
disavow.
Farage has said he doesn't want anything to do with Tommy Robinson.
Absolutely.
So you would say that?
Of course.
So why can't you say you don't want his endorsement?
Well, I listen. He's done it. We can't take it back. Everybody is free
But you
to
can't
endorse.
say you don't want it. You can say he's an abhorrent individual who's spreading abhorrent views.
I would agree with Nigel that there is no place for Tommy Robinson in reform as a member of Parliament or in any other way. But we cannot stop somebody if he wants to endorse us. He's going to endorse us.
Do you share some of Tommy Robinson's views?
I do not.
So why can't you say that you don't want his endorsement?
Well, I think I just have. I've just made the point that Nigel has said quite clearly that he's not part of our party. But
See, it's just bizarre. It kind of a bit of telling how Reform operates. She can say that Tommy Robinson shouldn't be a member of Reform. She can say that Nigel Farage doesn't want anything to do with him. But when asked directly multiple times to simply say, I don't want Tommy Robinson's endorsement, she physically can't get those words out of her mouth. Maybe it's because her brief doesn't include those words, so she doesn't know the right answer. Or it could be because Reform know exactly what they're doing. They know that Tommy Robinson's followers are part of their voter base, and they don't want to alienate them. So instead, Sarah Pochin goes on LBC and does this embarrassing dance where she tries to have it both ways, distancing herself just enough to maintain deniability while refusing to actually condemn the endorsement because they still want those votes. And finally, when you just think it couldn't get any worse, she doubles down on how Reform are going to be awful for poor families. And rightly so, she gets called out on that too.
is that we want to support hard-working British families, British parents that are both out at work. So we will lift this cap for working families, for British citizens.
So you're saying if Reform was in government, you'd have to have both parents in work in order to receive this support. What would happen if one of those parents tragically died?
I am saying that as a policy, yes, both those parents...
What you're saying is in that situation, if a family had the tragic instance of a parent dying, the Reform government would take money off them.
What I'm saying is that the principle of our policy is that parents need to be at work.
What about you? You were very clear there when you said for British citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand the logic of that, but there'll be people who come to this country who pay into the system, maybe have done so for 10 or 15 years, that they're not British citizens, and then one of them is made redundant and they fall on hard times through no fault of their own. Are you seriously saying that those people would be penalised because they don't happen to be actual British citizens?
But why would you be in this country for 15 years and not have applied for British citizenship?
Well, there are many reasons that you might not have done.
But what we're saying is that as Reform always make very clear, we want to prioritise British citizens. And that is our stance, and we make it very clear. And I cannot see what the problem is with that. We are not either a food
Well, I think
bank
Gordon's
for
illustrated one
for the
problem.
world,
I've
or we're not a
illustrated another.
benefit system for anybody here. We have to put our own people first, because there is not enough money in the bank to open this up to everybody. We have to prioritise.
So why was Reform in favour of abolishing the two-child cap only a year ago?
Reform is in favour of only abolishing it for working parents. I've made that very clear. That's the policy.
But a year ago, Nigel Farage was advocating effectively what the Labour Party policy is now.
Well, I can only speak for since I've been here, and I know that this policy, I understand it, and that is that we will only do it for working people that are at work, British citizens that are at work.
So just make sure everybody's clear on that. Reform's position is that even if you've worked in Britain for 15 years, even if you've paid your taxes and national insurance, even if you've contributed to your community and built a life here, if you haven't got a British passport, then your children don't matter. They can go hungry for all Reform cares, because you're not one of us. This is the compassionate face of Reform UK Limited, A party that would take money from bereaved parents and exclude children based on their parents' citizenship status while wrapping it up all in some rhetoric about hard work in Britain. And yet I still do not understand how many people are still planning to vote for them. I mean, it just feels like that old saying, doesn't it? That where the trees voted for the axe because the axe's handle is made of wood.